is just the start of the Big 12 and Power 5 talk to come. Listen to JJ and Alex Monday on your drive home. Afternoons from 3 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
First and 12, final segment of the program. Appreciate all of you for tuning into the show today. Every Tuesday, 7 to 9 p.m., we're holding it down, talking Big 12 football here on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry. It's time for our predictions for the week 6 in the Big 12, and we'll start things off with BYU and West Virginia. I feel like I know where your pick's going to be, Alex, but what do you want to see from BYU in this game against a West Virginia team that's just kind of down and out at the moment?
Yeah, they do have good athletes, though, right? I mean, like they have some fast dudes, and that's always their thing. Boy, ESPN, the predictor right now, has BYU at a 95.1% chance of winning this game.
Crazy.
That's a huge number right there. Bear Bachmeier's thrown for almost 700 yards this year. He's 61 for 90 on the season with 6 touchdowns and obviously no interceptions and a couple on the ground. I want to see LJ Martin get back into that. I don't want him to see him just get to 100 yards rushing. I want to see him get to that 150-yard mark.
I like that.
And I, when he came out of the game the other day, I know BYU fans were just absolutely like, what is going on? But I think you need to start looking now, and we brought it up before the show. I think Bear Bachmeier, the run game that they did against against Colorado, was exactly, I think, going to have the effect that they wanted it to have, which was you're going to make teams have to guess a little bit more on this kid because they're like, oh, no, we'll run him head first. We don't care. Like, we'll run him straight up the middle. It's not even quarterback draws, by the way, Mitch. Sometimes it is, but they just snap the ball and he just goes and he picks one of the gaps. He picks one of the A gaps
just
and goes,
bouncing off
I'll
guys.
just see what goes on here. And it was so effective more often than not. And you said it too. Maybe BYU fans are a little bit nervous about it, but it was exactly what the defense gave BYU. And then that was the part of the run game that opened it up for the passing game to happen a little bit more. And Chase Roberts has become that safety blanket for Bear. I mean, he's just finding him anywhere on the field. Same thing with Carson Ryan. I think what I want to see is the next iteration. I don't want to just see him get comfortable at some point. I want him to take over from the beginning. If you're that freshman guy who's going to do it, I don't want you to think to yourself, let's get off to the slow start like we've been doing, and let's get this thing going if you're BYU. I want to see a quick start from them as opposed to the slow ones that they've had. But I do think BYU rolls in this one. I don't know if it's going to be a 3-touchdown gap, but I do think it's going to be at least 14 points.
Well said. And I think that I want to see BYU have a performance that's not like the Stanford game a month ago where they were really struggling to finish drives in the red zone. Get touchdowns. Finish those drives when you get those opportunities inside the red zone. Punch it with a touchdown. Last week against Colorado, they had to settle for a field goal in the red zone. They've got a great kicker in Farron, but they've done that 7 times in the red zone where they turn to a field goal. Got to punch in those red zone appearances with touchdowns. I think that's going to help when you're talking, coin flip games in the Big 12, not necessarily this one, but down the road. You got to be able to get those extra points inside the red zone. But, yeah, I think BYU wins big. I think they probably win, honestly, by 3 touchdowns. I think BYU just cruises past West Virginia in that game. On Saturday, the game that we've been kind of hyping as the game of the week, Iowa State, Cincinnati, I'm going to go with the Bearcats to get it done at home. What say you?
I think Iowa State still rolls. I think that Cincinnati needs to learn a little bit about winning the bigger game, right? Because they won a big game last week. But now they have to win a bigger game, and they have to do it the week after they did it. I mean, and it feels like a short week, right? When it's a 10 a.m. kickoff, not to go full Lincoln Riley on you and pout about it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's an early kickoff for a Saturday, and they have to turn right around and play the best team in the league right now. I mean, I say right now because they're undefeated. Them and Texas Tech, they're 5-0. And by the way, this Iowa State team has gotten better the last couple of weeks, and so I think that's going to be a test. I don't think they're going to be able to pass it. I think Iowa State wins in that one versus Cincinnati, and it's probably a 7 to 10 point win even. Next up, Kansas State goes down to Baylor into Waco. McLean Stadium going to be hosting that Kansas State team that is probably wondering, like everybody else, who the heck they are. But Baylor's kind of doing a little bit of the same thing. Baylor has to have this home win. I think they get it. I think you're going to see Dave Aranda and his guys kind of take out some frustration. Sawyer Robertson, I bet you're going to see a big day from him offensively. The Kansas State defense has been an absolute disaster for this team so far, and I think you're going to see Sawyer Robertson throw for 450 and 4 touchdowns, and this one's not even going to be close.
That's a great pull. I think Baylor wins big. I think that Kansas State won't be able to keep up with the scoring output of Baylor, so I think Baylor gets a solid win at home because that's been a spot where they can't get wins at home. 1 p.m. on TNT, Arizona hosts Oklahoma State, a day game in the desert down in Tucson. I've got Arizona winning big. I'm not even going to think twice about this one.
Yeah, wake me up when that one's over and just tell me what the score is, and then I'll go back to sleep because it's not a game that I'm looking forward to watching. But, yeah, Oklahoma State's not going to get better suddenly, especially going on the road. But Arizona wins. Noah Fafita kind of gets his feet back under him again. And then we're still going to wonder who Arizona is after beating an Oklahoma State team. Next up, Texas Tech going down to Houston. This is a big one for me just because it's a sneaky game. I don't think Texas Tech loses this one. But I do think that Houston makes it a little bit more. They're like, we don't get chances like this to play the number 11 team undefeated in a conference at the same time that we're undefeated.
Yeah.
I think they're going to show up and play hard. It's going to take a minute, but I think Texas Tech ends up rolling in this one. It's going to be probably a 10 to 15-point win for Texas Tech on the road, but Houston puts up a little bit of a fight.
I have some intrigue, though. Just, again, I think there's a debate to be had at quarterback for Texas Tech. I know you probably go to Barron Moore, and I get that, especially with him participating this week in practice, but I just found Will Hammond to be really good.
If I'm Coach McGuire,
you got to find a way to use him.
I'm just going to sneakily list Baron Morton as questionable. And when he goes, Coach, did you put me in questionable? He's like, yeah, I don't know how you're doing, man. Are you doing okay?
He's doing the opposite of winning.
He's all, no, listen.
He's practicing.
Is your head okay still? Because I asked you before if you were okay with me listening to you as questionable. It sounds like you already forgot this conversation. Look, I'm going to have to put Hammond in, just to do it. He's a talented dude, but I think they're going to go with their guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas Tech to win. Baron Morton probably goes back into the seat, but yeah, Hammond, they got the peace of mind knowing they've got two good quarterbacks leading that Texas Tech team. 5:30 p.m. on Fox, Colorado at TCU. I'm going with the Horned Frogs. Again, I think Colorado threw their best stuff at BYU. Colorado fans want Pat Shurmur fired. They want him gone, the offensive coordinator. I got TCU winning big. I don't. Colorado's got individual talent, but they don't come together as a team, and they don't have any sort of identity post Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and you need that. You need those big time players at your big time positions. And Caden Salter weirdly feels like he's actually getting worse.
Yeah,
and so I think you're going to have a quarterback question by the end of the game. You're probably going to have a Juju Lewis sighting by about the middle of the third quarter because it's going to be so ugly. And again, I'm going to go same thing I did with Sawyer Robertson. Josh Hoover's going to go off on these guys, and it's not going to be pretty. Yeah. So Colorado's going to lose big, I think, down there in Fort Worth. And then finally, Kansas going down to Central, going down to UCF. Sorry about that, Black Knight fans. But, UCF, I think, hosting Kansas. I think Scott Frost is probably going to take his first home loss as the head coach for the second time down there at UCF. I think Kansas is going to get right this game. They're not overly talented, but I think they're more talented than UCF is, even with them at home.
UCF is 3-0 at home. I will go with the Knights to get the win in an upset over Kansas. I don't feel good about it, but there's got to be always one kind of unexpected outcome in the Big 12.
I appreciate you not going full chalk this week.
No,
you got Cincinnati winning. You got UCF beating Kansas. I'm okay with that.
I'm going UCF to pull an upset and give Scott Frost a big win at home. And again, maybe it's just I'm just not a believer yet in Kansas, and I want to see more from that group consistently in the Jayhawks. So I'll go with the Knights to pull off the upset. That's going to do it for this week. Week 6 already in the books.
Can't believe it.
Alex, great show as always. Fantastic stuff from our producer Gustavo. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast if you missed any part of the show. Just search First and 12 wherever you get your podcasts, and we will be back next Tuesday talking more Big 12 football.
I'll see you on Friday, Mitch.
Yes.
Save me a Cougar towel. For Mitch, I'm Alex. For our producer Gustavo, we'll be back next week, everybody.